Good morning, everyone. Today is April 20th, 2026, and we have another live trading session. So let's just straight jump into it today. So we have our news for today, which, as we can clearly see, we don't have any high impact news today on this Monday. So we can then go on to our sentiment. We know that first we have our Dow 30 sentiment, which has come out as bearish, but we have a couple of scattered bullish stocks in here. And then we have our NASDAQ sentiment, which has come out as about the same as US 30. It looks to be more 50-50 split here with NASDAQ though. And then lastly, we have our gold sentiment, which we see that gold has come out as bearish for today. So hopping right into the charts, we can see what happened coming into this week. So if we go on a 15-minute time frame, we saw that Sunday had this huge gap here at market open. After this huge gap down, we've now slowly started to trickle back higher throughout London session coming into New York. And we are now here at this 8:30 open where we are waiting to see what price wants to do. It looks to be mostly just consolidating. There doesn't look to be really anything higher time frame wise that needs to be taken out in terms of high or low of the day. However, we do know that high of the day was made with this 8:30 candle. And we currently have low of the day, which was made during this pre-London low here at 1240. And so we will wait and see what the market has to offer throughout this session. We then have US 30, which US 30 is basically running this morning. We see here's 8:30. It basically did the same thing on a higher time frame premise in terms of making this huge gap down at Sunday's market open. After this gap down again into London, into pre-New York has been trending bullish, and now we can see at 8:30 open we got an impulse candle, and we've already created high of the day with that candle, and we're currently just kind of trading higher. So nothing really in particular here that we are looking for. And then lastly, we have gold, which gold from a higher time frame, once again, it's kind of the same premise as what NASDAQ and US 30 were doing, but we don't really confluence those. So we can go even higher to a 4-hour time frame. We can see back on Wednesday, March 18th, we had this 4-hour fair value gap here in the market. That is what price had traded into last week with the rally last week up into that fair value gap. After that rally up higher, we can see coming into this week, we had this gap down. And then after this gap down, again, same exact London into pre-New York premise where price has just been kind of trending bullish, making up for this drop-off that was on Sunday open. And now we see where we are concurrently in price, which here's 8:30 here. And this is the current price leg that we are sitting in. So again, we'll continue to sit on our hands. We know it's a Monday, and we know we have no news today. So if we do get something clean, then we will look to take that. But as of right now, there are no current opportunities in the market that are presenting themselves. Okay, so it is now 9 o'clock, so I am dropping in for a little update. As we can see, NASDAQ has not really done much. We have the high and the low of the day, which is what price is stuck in between currently. And we are in a bit of a consolidation profile right now, not really showing an intention to go and take this high or take this low out. We then have US 30, which US 30, again, is basically mirroring what NAS has done. After this huge rally to start the session, we seen that we created 830 high of the day. 830 high of the day got rated by the 845 candle, and then from there we are now stuck between this price leg, or between this price range of high and low of the day, and we are sitting in a consolidation profile. And then lastly, we have our gold trade, or we have our gold pair, which again, the gold sentiment for today had come out as bearish, so this makes sense for the way that it's moving right now. However, it is sitting between this high and low of the day that again was created with the 830 candle and was created with the 1240 candle. The only thing with gold is that, as you can see here, there's a 5-minute bullish fair value gap that was created at 805. And so I'm just monitoring this price. Once we get into this bullish fair value gap, I want to see if we actually end up trying to respect this bullish fair value gap and then going higher from there, or if we are going to disrespect this bullish fair value gap, break it to the downside, and then start to trade lower, which in that case we would be looking to aim at the low of the day. But that's basically all that I'm looking at right now in terms of things to trade. Not really too interested in what NASDAQ and US 30 are doing, since they have very low momentum and they are also very, very close to their objective for today. But like I said, I'll continue to monitor this and see what it ultimately does. There's also an overlapping 15-minute candle here, or a 15-minute fair value gap here that was created with the 8 o'clock candle. So we have this right here. So we can also monitor that, and actually that will override that 5-minute candle. So we'll see what type of reaction we get now that we've stabbed into this 15-minute fair value gap, whether, again, we want to try and impulse higher to go take this high of the day, or whether we want to start breaking lower and respecting this bearish sentiment that had come out for today. Okay, so this is exactly why I always wait to see candle closure when it comes to price action for times exactly like this. So basically what I was looking at is, again, our sentiment for today on gold is bearish. So with gold, what I've been looking at is on a 5-minute perspective, there was this 5-minute FVG here, which is what this white box is representing. And then on a 15-minute, we had this gray box, which was representing the 15-minute bullish FVG here. So my premise was, if I'm sitting on a 5, I would need to see a down close candle close below these two objectives in order to take shorts. Well, look what happened. We've now stabbed into the objective. We've now held the objective and had bullish candles that have closed on top of the actual objective, which is holding this candle. So now what we would most probably like to see is this be holding, and for high of the day to now be our objective that we are actually looking for price to take inside of this time window, because we know it's 9:15 currently. We know that we have 45 minutes left in the session, and again, with those objectives of that high of the day and that low of the day, what's looking to pan out is that that 5-minute will be held and this high of the day will be respected. So again, we'll continue to wait and see how this plays out, but that is just kind of what we're looking at right now, with the fact that this price action actually held rather than breaking to the downside, closing below, and then starting to give us bearish protocol or bearish entry order flow. Kind of just reverse my bias for today And if we go back to the sentiment for today, we can see that gold is still holding a heavily bearish sentiment. So we're still overwhelmingly bearish, as well as the fact that we opened at negative 0.85 and we are now at negative 0.87, and we're almost an hour on the dot into the session. And so with that, and with the fact that we were looking at shorts with the break of this FVG to the downside, once we respected this, again, once that 9:0 or that 9:10 candle closes, yes, we can start looking for entries up to high of the day. But look at these three candles. There's nothing inside of this price leg that is showing you or giving you any proper entries in order to take up to that high of the day. And even if you go on to LTF, you can see nothing but bullish candles all the way up until trying to get to this high of the day. And then again, you can drop down to the 1 if you want to, but this is just a macro time frame. So you really need to be precise when being on the 1 minute time frame. And with the premise of what we were taking today, I'm not going to drop down there to try and take buys when my original bias was to be a seller today. So yeah, that's basically all that we have as of right now. And as of today, again, came right up to it and tried to sweep it. We've still failed to sweep this high of the day so far. So it still is holding intact. And again, we do have 30 minutes left in the session. But with us being so close to our objectives, I don't really see any ideation or any reason for us not to go and get this high of the day today. And once again, we have 40 seconds left also in this 5-minute candle, and we know that that 5-minute candle will probably end up creating some form of fair value gap with it, especially since it has failed to take that high of the day. And so that could also be a potential entry that, yes, does fall in between the trading plan. However, as we can see, this is a very minimal risk to reward ratio. This would not be worth me taking, because this isn't even a 1-to-1. And again, we would have to refine this because this candle still has 12 seconds left. So this is the entirety of the candle now, where we'd be looking at. So yeah, it would be basically just about a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio here if we take this 5-minute. But again, we'll see what the market does. Okay, and boom, doesn't even give you an opportunity to come back and take this 5-minute. Again, just impulses now to that high of the day now that we have presented 9:30. And so yeah, that's all of our objectives for today. There's our high of the day objective that was set in stone, and that is now done for today. And so gold has already completed all of its objectives, and there's nothing else to really be looking at in terms of what it's going to do here. And then lastly, we have that NASDAQ, which again, NASDAQ is just sitting here consolidating. It's probably not going to do anything. We have 29 minutes left in the session as talked about, but I don't see NASDAQ really doing very much. And then same thing with US 30. Again, these consolidation profiles are always going to have me not wanting to trade, or it's just lower probability. And so therefore, especially being this deep into the session, I would much rather just sit on my hands and move on till tomorrow. But I'll probably let this play out for like another 15 minutes till about 9:45 just to see what the premise of NASDAQ does. And then I will give my closing remarks in terms of this video. And then we will move on till tomorrow. Okay, so this will be the final update for today. I think I'm going to just call it a session and walk away, given that it is Monday. And as we've talked about, we are lower probability, as well as the fact that I don't think that we're going to get very much delivery in this last 15 minutes. But ultimately, what I was looking for now coming into the last hour, or the last 30 minutes of this session, was basically the fact that we had now ran this high of the day here with that 9:30 price. after running that high of the day, again, I was just keeping the sentiment in mind because we know that we are still very heavily bearish sentiment. And like I said, we opened at minus 0.85 and we are still gradually climbing higher in terms of showing sell side and showing the indication of going lower from a sentiment perspective. And so what I was looking at is, again, break of structure here, bullish fair value gap. This would have held if we wanted to continue to probably go bullish. However, once that bullish fair value gap got broken to the downside, again, this candle closed right at the low, and then this candle then closed below it. I was going to look for an inversion fair value gap entry. So basically, I would have taken the bullish fair value gap, turned it into a bearish entry protocol, which also aligns with this 930 bearish fair value gap here. And I would have been looking to take shorts with first take profit being this indicated low, which was the 910 low, the session low. And then below that, I would have been looking to take the 735 lows, which is where this liquidity is just holding here. But as you can see, prices kind of moved away from our entry. And it's also 9:47, so the odds of us being able to actually tap into our entry and then get to take profit in 13 minutes is going to be very, very low probable. And then lastly, we can look back at NASDAQ and US 30. So NASDAQ, as you can see, nothing here. 5 minute just trickling to the downside. However, no entry protocol, no bearish fair value gaps, nothing inside of this price leg to show us that to give us an entry protocol to take down to these lows. And then we have US 30, which again, US 30 made that high. It has now started to trickle down throughout the session. So we'll see what this does for the rest of the day, and then probably try and align with this going into Tuesday, Thursday. And yeah, we've already talked about gold. So that's everything that we have for today. Once again, I'll be back tomorrow for another live trading session. I want you guys to really look at these videos and see the patience that is being taken, because that's one of the main things in these market conditions. I know you guys have seen me go on win streaks. You guys have seen me lose at times. But overall, again, I always usually stay above water because my risk management is very pristine. And I'm always just doing what the market is telling me to do. Again, I may want price to go lower, and I may want to look for low of the days. Again, gold was a perfect example today. Had a short premise, wanted to look for shorts given that high of the day was already created, wanted to align with this short-term premise here. Most people are going to jump into these entries. You're going to start losing money here and there. And then again, the small losses are what add up to bigger losses, because then you end up going on tilt. You end up breaking your trading plan and all things of that nature. But again, just being patient, sitting on your hands, knowing that better market conditions will come. This has been my worst month in terms of what our output. So we are let me see, because I had updated last week. So we were minus 4% last week. And then we were plus 1.5% in week 1, and we basically broke even in week 2. So, again, just mediating our risk and making sure that we are aligning with what we're doing so that we can live to fight another day. And once we are out of this price action, like I said, there will always be another trading day. There will always be another opportunity in order to place entries, in order to make money. So again, going back to what I've said in almost every single video, make sure that you're preserving not only your physical capital, but your mental capital as well. And as I always say, if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, let me know. But this will conclude today's live trading session.